Now it's time to put in the eyes. I like to put in the eyes early on because it just gives life to the painting, and it also gives a feeling like the animal's watching me to make sure I do a good job of it, do it right. Now for the purpose of showing you better what I do, I enlarge these eyes so that you could better see it. So we have our initial drawing in and our charcoal drawing, and we put in some layers of some underlayers to set the stage for the first. So the first thing I'm going to do with the eyes is to outline them with 305 New Pastel Spruce Blue. The blue goes underneath the black to give it depth. So I'm going to go around the rims, the outside edges of the eye, with the spruce blue. Now when I do this bottom lid, you can see that the white charcoal pencil that we put down earlier still shows through. We can color right over it. Let's do the other one. Take your time when you're working on the eyes because it's really the most important part of the painting. Eyes on wolves are either amber or green, the majority of them. They are not blue. Very rarely there'll be a blue-eyed wolf. But most of the time they're amber or green. Okay, now for this demonstration the eyes are going to be amber with a touch of green. So we're going to combine both colors. So we're going to put the base color in with New Pastel 253 Cocoa Brown. And we're just going to color it like you would a coloring book. Just flat, filling in the eyes. I'm going to make it even. I like to do them both at the same time. And we need to add some color. So I'm going to use 263 Indian Red to add some color around the pupil. Like that. And let's go over and add some around the other side. And we're going to go a little bit darker. So this time I'm going to use 353 Cordovan. This is a great color. I'm going to make it darker up here where the lid casts the shadow. Using a very light touch. A little more around the pupil. I do the same over here. The other eye. So we're just gradually bringing up these values. I'm going to take it a little darker with 259 Deep Coal Gray. This is just going to be in the shadow area. I know this seems like a lot of colors, but it's all going to add a lot of depth and dimension to our eye. I'm going to do it over here on the left eye as well. I've kind of lost my pupil in the left eye, so I'm going to use my charcoal pencil to kind of put it back in. Okay. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and outline the eye. I'm going to go over the blue that we put down with 229 New Pastel Black. So I'm going right over the spruce blue. Just makes a deeper, more dramatic black. I'm going to put a little in losing that pupil, so I'm just going to add a little bit, feathering it out. We don't want it harsh. Let's move over to the left eye, do the same. Also going to do this pupil, feathering it out. Okay, now let's add some more color. This time we're going to add some green. I'm going to use 305 bottle green, and I'm going to add it around the bottom edge of the eyeball, adding a little color to the iris, gently feathering it in. I'm going to do the same. Now I'm just doing it on the left-hand side of the eyeball, and I'm doing the same on the right eye. It's on the left-hand side of the eyeball. Now we're going to follow that with 208 green, which is a brighter green. So I'm going to add that also on the left side. So we can go back and forth adding color until we get it just like we want it. So we're adding a touch of green to bring some depth into this eye. Just feathering it up towards the pupil. I'm going to add a little more bottle green on this left eye. It's a little more in shadow. Come back over it with the 208. I like that. Now I think the left eye needs a little bit more brown. I'm going to use 353 right around the just a little bit around the pupil. Now we need to add a bright highlight. What I'm going to do with that, what happens when the light comes through the eye, we have a hot spot over here. The light comes through, it comes out the other side because the eyeball, the lens, is convex. So over in this area, we need to make it a little brighter. For that, I'm going to use 257, which is a nice bright yellow, and I'm just going to add a little bit over the green that we already put in. Oh, like that. And then we'll do the same thing on the left eye. If you want it brighter, you can add a little more color, but we want this to be subtle. And we're almost done. Let's use our 229 new pastel black to darken our pupils, feather them out. I'm going to darken the shadow over the eye lightly with the black. Just add a little more depth there. Do the same over on this side. Also darken the shadow. We're almost there. I think I want to add a little more dark color on the right side of the eyeball. I'm using the 353 Cordovan. And the same on the right eye. Now we need to add the light. So I'm going to use a very sharp 211 new pastel and add the catch light in the eye. And in the other one. Wow. Then to finish it off, we want to add a highlight on the rim. We want to reinforce that. So I'm going to use my white charcoal pencil. Add a few highlights down in here. And over on this side, I've lost, the rim doesn't, the highlight on the rim has disappeared. So I'm going to add that in. And last, we're going to deal more with this rim as we go along and integrating it into the fur in our wolf, but I'm going to add a little bit more color around it. Brighten this up a little bit more. And I believe we can call that done. And now we'll move on to the nose. We've finished the eyes, now let's add the nose. I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the rims of the eyes. I'm going to use my 305 Spruce Blue to color in my nose. So I'm going to outline it. I'm just going to go over it, putting more color where the shadow is. I guess you could say I'm making the color heavier there, but I'm putting the blue all over the nose. but we can still see the nostrils through there. I'm going to go back over that with 229 black. Mark the nostrils. Now where the highlights are, I'm going to use a light blue P370 Spectrum, it's called Pale Spectrum Blue Derwent pastel pencil. And I'm just going to put in the highlights underneath the nose, around the edge of the nose. And we'll add more highlights later. A little bit on this edge right here. Now we're going to color over it with the 229 black. You can see our highlight still shows up underneath there. Just going to go over it lightly with the black. And for the highlight on top of the nose, I'm going to use this wonderful color. It's a 304 Lilac New Pastel. I'm going to use it on top of the nose. Just stroking the color in. I'm going to use the light blue pencil. Add a few more color touches. I think I want to make that edge of the nose darker here. It's a little harder with the lilac to make a brighter statement. Then a tad of 211 New Pastel over top to make the brightest highlight. And I think that'll do it for now. We may have to adjust the colors later as we progress with the wolf.